When I married my wife 2 decades ago, she had 2 kids. Juana was 12 and Lago was 8. We had 2 of our own afterward. In my opinion, Juana and Lago's dad, Juan, is not a good guy. He rarely paid child support, and he worked under the table a lot to lower the amount he should pay. One Christmas he stayed with us, so we saw the kids open gifts in the morning. He dared to switch a label on a gift I got Lago, so it came from him. I just swallowed the crappy behavior, not to start a fight with the kids present. His kids love him though. He can do no wrong in their eyes. When Juana married, he walked her down the aisle, even though I paid for the wedding. I wasn't even acknowledged on the invitation. Once again, I didn't start crap because the wedding wasn't about me. When Juana had her first child, I was told in no uncertain terms that I would not be her kid's grandfather. I was just her mom's husband. Lago and I are friends. He's always polite with me, and we've bonded somewhat. After their mom died, he still came to me, and we often shared a meal. He had brought his fiancée to meet me, and he hand-delivered my invitation to make sure I knew he wanted me there. Since her mom's passing, Juana has not contacted me. The funeral was the last time I saw her or her kids. I thought Lago's wedding would be the next time I saw her. However, the economy has kicked her family pretty hard, and they lost their house. They need a place to stay. She called me about moving in with me. She wants me to move my kids into their old room so her family can have the basement suite in my house. I told her no. I wouldn't uproot my kids from their area to accommodate her. I offered to let her have 2 rooms upstairs with me. She said she didn't want that. Only the basement suite would do. I said it wasn't going to happen and left it at that. Her father won't or can't help her out since he lives in a bachelor apartment. Lago lives in another city. Juana said that if her mother were alive, she would make me let her have the basement since it was her house too. I reminded her that I owned the house before I married her mom and that it was 100% mine. Lago reached out and I ensured he knew the whole story. He knows I offered her 2 rooms for free. He said she was dumb not to take the help. I feel bad about this whole situation, but I won't move my kids out of their space. They're teenagers now, and I'm teaching them to care for themselves. They're also still dealing with losing their mom. I am not super excited about letting someone who dislikes me into our lives, but I'm still willing to help her. I feel like an idiot, but I'm not changing my mind. Not the idiot. You were always her mother's husband, not her stepfather, or even the father of her half-siblings. It also sounds like she hasn't even been in touch with them. Yet she's now happy to upset all your lives? She's not your kid. She's made that plain. Don't do or give her anything. She's an entitled idiot. Your kids are your concern, and disrupting their lives to move her and hers in would be the move of an enormous idiot. You aren't that. And I wouldn't even have offered the 2 rooms. It's her life. She's an adult. She made her choices. I know that life should not be tit for tat, but ask yourself, if the situations were reversed, would she offer you the same hospitality? I think we both know the answer to that question. If you feel so inclined and genuinely want to help her, offer a monetary gift to help out, something you can easily afford to give away because she won't pay you back. That would be the most I would be willing to do. I don't think she even deserves a monetary gift after he paid for her wedding and she got her bio dad to walk her down the aisle and gave him no role other than ATM. She doesn't care about him, just what she can get from him. OP was told in no uncertain terms that he would only ever be her mother's husband to her. Sorry, but she doesn't get to change her own rules just because now she wants something. She wanted the basement so that she wouldn't have to interact with the family. She wants free housing, but not the family that actually lives in the house. I also have experience with moocher family. Do not let her stay with you. My teen dad got married to Eve last year. Eve has 2 kids. Her son is a preschooler now, and her daughter's a toddler. There's a lot of deep stuff in Eve's background and the kids with their paternal side of the family, but they had nobody other than Eve until my dad and Eve met. Once they got married, my dad adopted them. Then my dad's relatives didn't want the kids to be treated the same as the rest of the grandkids and told Dad they would never mean as much to them as the rest of the bio family would. so we told them to get lost and cut ties with them. When all three other sides, Dad's, Eve's, and the kids' paternal side, were not in the picture, Dad asked my mom's family, my mom died when I was 2, if they would embrace my step-siblings as family and treat them the way they would me, because they were now my siblings and my family, that I loved them, so it was important for me to see them being embraced by my family. My family asked me if what Dad said was true, and I told them it wasn't. I said I hardly even knew the kids, let alone loved them. My family told my dad they would never see my step-siblings as their grandkids. I should also make it clear that my dad and maternal family did not remain close or like family after my mom died. I still saw my family, but Dad was never involved, and he would go to his own family when I was with mine. I never liked my dad's family, so it was never a huge deal to me to not see them. And it's not a huge deal to not have them around at all. They were always really annoying about how girly I am, and they could never believe that I'd want to have a manly job when I graduate. Eve was pretty depressed when she realized she had made her kids' family all that much bigger, and they had been rejected even more. So Dad decided that we would be the tightest little unit and that we would all choose each other, so they would know they were chosen and loved despite all the rejection. My dad decided that for this to work fully, I should let Eve adopt me. I refused without hearing anything else, and I told him Eve would never adopt me, and I don't care how much of a nice story it paints for her kids, because I'm not doing that for them. He told me they were little, and Eve said it would mean so much to them. Dad told me part of being a big sibling is putting the younger siblings first. I told them the kids would never be my priority, and I would never go out of my way for them like that. Dad offered a compromise instead of me writing and signing a contract, saying I would always be their big brother, and I was so lucky to choose 2 awesome siblings, which I also said no to. Then the adoption stuff was pushed more. Eve tried telling me that I would still be able to call her Eve most of the time, but just call her mom in front of her kids. Dad told me I was being selfish for refusing to do this, and reiterated that the kids should be our priority. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. What a mess, OP. I'm sorry you've been dragged into this. Just because your dad and Eve want to play happy families and pretend everything is peachy doesn't mean you have to play along. You have a right to say no, and they should respect that. It sounds like all your dad cares about is outside appearances, rather than actually trying to fix the issues. Adoption will make Eve happy, not the kids. The kids are small. They'll be satisfied with just your dad and Eve being there for them and giving them a safe and loving environment. There's no need for an extended family for the kids to be happy. It's Eve's desire stemming from whatever issues she has. And more idiot of your dad to go along with this misguided plan instead of getting Eve to therapy. The irony that insisting on these immediate deep connections has destroyed the possibility of those connections ever forming naturally. Repeat to your father that you will never let Eve adopt you and that the bullying from both of them is pushing you further and further away. Dad and Eve need therapy. It is entirely unhinged to ask your late family, out of the blue, to help raise these kids. My niece, Annabelle, teen, went to live with her grandparents a few weeks ago. This was a long time coming. Annabelle has been miserable at home for years. She's talked to her mom countless times and had my mom, my brother, and me talk to her mom on her behalf before. Nothing changed until Annabelle was finally done. This all started when Annabelle was 4. Natasha, 47, met her husband, and they moved in together with his then 5-year-old daughter, Jasmine. Annabelle instantly adored Jasmine, and I know my sister hyped her up for them being sisters and stuff. But Jasmine from day one was very negative toward Annabelle. She would scream at Annabelle and call her names. It was normal kid acting out stuff that wasn't corrected from what we witnessed. Then, over the years, it just kept getting worse, and it stayed a very negative relationship, even after Annabelle stopped trying to be sisters or even friends with Jasmine. Jasmine was with her dad way more than her mom. Like Annabelle's dad, her mom was a bit of a deadbeat, though at least she knew her mom, whereas Annabelle had never met her dad. Whenever we would see them, Jasmine would have no problem playing with all the other kids, even other kids in our family, but she would tell Annabelle she couldn't play or blame Annabelle for making her stop playing with others. My brother's kids would come and tell us what was happening, and neither Natasha nor her husband would say or do anything. My mom went over a few times to say it wasn't nice to exclude kids, and Jasmine would say that she hated Annabelle and wanted her to go away. This all bled into school, where Jasmine and some of her friends bullied Annabelle. Still, nothing was done. Natasha dismissed everyone who mentioned it to her. She would even ask Annabelle if she really wanted her to be unhappy and single again, and why she couldn't accept that some sisters wouldn't always be like you. She would ignore it when Annabelle told her that Jasmine never liked her. We did our best to support Annabelle, and we even tried to figure out if we could help with her and Jasmine. It came as no surprise to me when Annabelle told us her grandparents were fighting for custody. When they won, it was surprising because I almost expected it to go in Natasha's favor since she's her mom. But the judge decided Annabelle was old enough to have a say and considered everything. Natasha was furious with the decision and has been crying and raging ever since. Nobody's comforted her, and we've pulled back that we no longer need to go through her to see Annabelle. This might be why she showed up at my house the other night and wanted to talk, and when I didn't let her in, she asked me why we weren't there for her. I told her I didn't feel sorry for her at all, and I said it was her fault this happened. Natasha called me a witch and stormed away from my house. She texted me yesterday saying I should still be there for her. Am I the idiot? She would even ask Annabelle if she wanted her to be unhappy and single again. This is the crux of it. Your sister did nothing for years because she was too selfish even to consider rocking the boat. After all, it might not benefit her. You are not the idiot. Sis had it coming. However, it's no surprise she still isn't listening. Jasmine was not obligated to play with Annabelle, but she should have been obligated not to bully her. And your sister was more concerned with her relationship with her husband than protecting her child. At least the child is safe now. She's a terrible mother who hurts her family for her own happiness. Well, look how that's turned out. She doesn't deserve any happiness. I wonder who Jasmine will take her rage out on now that Annabelle is safely away from her. I hope they get Jasmine into therapy soon. OP, your sister having a man in her bed was more important than standing up for her daughter. Thank goodness for the grandparents. Walk away from your sister. She's a lost cause. My daughter and my niece both started high school this year. They both attend the best high school in our town. My daughter's extremely smart and very popular at school. She's friends with almost everyone in her class. My niece, on the other hand, is not that smart. She struggles with simple tasks, and she has no friends. A few days ago, my brother called me and asked me to change my daughter's school because kids have been making fun of my niece and calling her the stupid one while they call my daughter the smart one. He claims that his daughter never had this kind of problem, and it started when my daughter started to attend the same school as her because everyone's comparing them now since they are cousins. He also claims that it's my daughter's fault because the kids who do this are her friends. I told him I was not changing my daughter's school, and this was not my problem. My daughter's friends with almost everyone, and she can't be expected to control everyone's actions, since my daughter is very clearly smarter and is thriving in this school, while his daughter's struggling, and also because his daughter doesn't have any friends there anyway, then she should be the one to go to a new school. He thinks I'm being an idiot. So am I? You are the idiot because you've got major blinders on. Your niece wasn't bullied before your daughter got there. Now she is. Something happened. The bullying comments you make in the privacy of your home somehow end up flying around your daughter's school, and you're self-absorbed enough to think that this is just confirmation that everybody sees what you see, that your daughter's perfect and your niece is a dunce. But people's perception didn't suddenly get better. The stars didn't align. Your daughter said something, maybe a lot of somethings. Popularity is rarely a sign of innate goodness. You need to stop slandering your poor niece and open your eyes to the fact that you and your daughter probably catalyzed this whole thing because you're lacking in class and empathy. You're so gleeful in this story. So transparently boastful. Did Regina George grow up and have a daughter? This is the right answer. OP's daughter doesn't need to change schools. That's not the solution. But OP needs to look seriously at what's really happening. The fact that the kid's allegedly picking on OP's niece, our daughter's friends, makes it unlikely that the daughter is not involved in some capacity. At the absolute least, OP needs to speak to his daughter about how you respond to bullies in your social circle and ensure her daughter isn't getting involved in bullying. And you're right about OP's tone. It speaks volumes, and I'm inclined to believe the daughter's on the pedestal here. I dated a girl for about a year, 4 years ago. It was getting pretty serious, but I was also suffering from some mental health stuff, and she couldn't cope with it. She decided to leave and broke my heart. It was pretty significant for me, but I've moved on since then and been to counseling. I don't think about her anymore. That was until last week when I got wind from a friend that one of my closest friends just slept with my ex. I confronted him about it, and he confirmed it. He wasn't apologetic at all. He told me that they bumped into each other after not communicating for years. They then met for coffee, and soon after went back to his place. He showed me the text messages they've had since, which confirmed that they hadn't spoken in years, and that all the messages when she and I were dating were purely non-romantic. I told him that he crossed a line and that friends shouldn't sleep with friends' exes. He told me that he's free to sleep with whoever he wants, and so is she, as two consenting adults. It's been 4 years since we broke up, and while it might be hurtful to me, it has nothing to do with me. I'm really considering cutting this guy out of my life now, but I'd like some perspective. Am I the idiot for arguing with my friends over this? Not the idiot overall. Your friend is right. They can have intimacy as much as they want to, and there's nothing you can do or say about it. However, the freedom to do something doesn't mean it'll be without consequences. So pointing out that they're consenting adults is apropos of nothing. What you can do, however, is decide whether you want to remain friends with him. They may continue, and they might even have a relationship. If you don't want to stick around to sit on the sidelines for that, you're absolutely free not to do that. You can't control what your friend does, but you can control who you're friends with. Friends shouldn't sleep with ex's friends. I think this rule has an expiry date, and he didn't jump on her the moment you broke up either. Get some therapy, because this whole incident reads that you have not dealt with your mental health problems. This woman is free from any obligation to you. Your friend has done nothing wrong by you. Agree. Dude, it's been 4 years. It's not like this is your ex-wife or the mother of your children. It's a girl you dated for a year, several years ago. You are the idiot if you interfere with them or guilt your friend. You haven't had the time to process their relationship at all. I suggest giving yourself time to get your head around it before doing anything in haste.